Ash, another Wii U game has escaped the locks of the Wii U console, and probably the biggest of the entire library, being Xenoblade Chronicles X. It's releasing on the Switch in March, and I think now most of the heavy hitters have been ported to Switch. There are still some games remaining though, and I think we've counted around 27. Is that how many we have in this image here? I think it's around 27.
There's quite a few still left, but yeah, like you said, the biggest ones, by and large, have now escaped the Wii U, although Zelda fans might push back on you saying that Xenoblade X is the biggest one, only because we still haven't gotten Wind Waker HD or Twilight Princess HD, but I'm with you, though. Xenoblade X, outside of Zelda, the Zelda Zeitgeist would be the biggest one, I would think.
The biggest Wii U game, right? Like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess.
Right, Wii U specific.
Games.
Yeah.
But there are still games that haven't been ported. In fact, there are more games that haven't been ported than games that have been ported. I counted earlier, and in terms of like Nintendo published, I think there are around 19 or so that have been ported to the Switch, and we're dealing with 27 that have not. So Wii U is winning. Wii U is winning the ratio of exclusive Wii U specific games. Well done,
right.
Wii U. So let's begin with the first game, and that one here is the launch title, Nintendo Land, which is a brilliant game, and as it stands now, outside of the Zelda remasters, probably is the best game the Wii U has to its own. However, I am not confident that this one's ever going to escape the Wii U. Are you?
No, I think, Nintendo Land is a game that relies quite heavily on asymmetrical multiplayer, and that was enabled a lot by the Wii U gamepad, and that's just not something that you have with the Switch, just kind of, just by default, right? So, as cool a game as it is, I just don't think it would work quite as well on the Switch in a hardware sense.
Yeah, it's like one of the only games where two screens actually mattered. With most Wii U games, you can strip that second screen out, but this one, no, you need to have someone else having a different experience. It's not like you can just hide another screen in the corner, because then you're revealing what the gamepad player can see, and that's the whole point of the game. So yeah, this is never escaping the Wii U.
It's a shame, though, because it really was such a unique experience, and I had so much fun with friends with this game. In particular, the Mario Chase and the Animal Crossing Fruit, I don't remember what it's called, but those, and the Luigi's Mansion one, they're so fun, and I'd love to see it brought back in some way, but it doesn't make sense without the Wii U gamepad. They would have to be heavily reworked.
Yeah. I loved Donkey Kong Crash Course, which, in fairness, didn't really use the gamepad at all. Like you got a closer zoom on the gamepad. That specific game could be ported, but I don't think they're going to port Donkey Kong Crash Course on its own to the Switch.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Although that would be kind of a cool, $5 to $10 Switch eShop game if they. Yeah, I'd buy it.
Yeah. But Nintendo Land probably going to remain the Wii U gem, and it deserves to be left with at least one gem. So let's go on to the Zelda remasters, Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD, which people have been predicting will be ported to the Switch, I think since the Switch came out.
Right?
And here we are. It was 2017, now we're in 2024, nearly 2025, no sign of them. Do you think they still stand a chance?
This is one of the weirdest ones, man. I mean, I've been one of those people perpetually predicting that they would eventually make their way to Switch. And the fact they haven't is one of the biggest mysteries, one of the biggest question marks to me. I mean, part of me believes that they're just waiting, that they're ready. They've been done, they're on the shelf at Nintendo headquarters, waiting to be released. But I don't know if I still believe they're coming, because we're so close to the Switch 2 now, probably, and most likely. So it's so hard to say. I don't know why they would miss the Switch, but at the same time, if they're just waiting till Switch 2, okay, I guess. What do you think? This is such a weird question mark to me.
I think the thing with almost every Wii U remaster is what could Switch 2 gain from it? And with HD ports of GameCube games, nothing, really. I mean, you can make them 4K, but people aren't buying a Switch 2 in its first year to play 4K versions of Wii U games. That year needs to stand on its own with original games, especially because the gap from Switch to Switch 2 is going to be way bigger than the gap from Wii U to Switch. So if they're going to do it, they've got to do it soon. I guess we have February as an empty month right now. So it could very well be imminent.
I mean, that's true because we do have Donkey Kong Country Returns for January, and then we
Yeah.
now have Xenoblade Chronicles X for March. It would make sense. I mean, we're probably not going to see Switch 2 or at least have it released until later next year.
Yeah.
So there are theoretically several empty months right now that they could release these games in.
Yeah. I think we can give these games a tick. I think both of these have a strong likelihood of coming. And I don't think they would save them for Switch 2 unless they're like new remakes, unless like they're doing them again.
Right. I agree. I don't think they're gonna they're not gonna be like newly redone remakes. It would just be ports of the HD versions. But as Legend of Jess says in our live audience, great point. Please put Wind Waker on a successful console for once. That is so true. My favorite 3D Zelda has never been released on a successful Nintendo console. That's such a great point.
Yeah.
So I would love to see both of these games on Switch, and I like you. I think there's still a chance we might see them released for the Switch.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say a affirmative yes for those two then.
Sure.
And then our next one, Game & Wario. So let's bring up a point that some of these did come to 3DS. Game & Wario doesn't have a 3DS version, but WarioWare Gold does have the Gamer mode, which was the best mode of Game & Wario within that game. So this is
right.
Like a small slither of this is salvaged on another console that's not being sold anymore. But you can play that on a more successful console. But there are still cool parts of Game & Wario that you can't play anywhere but the Wii U. And I do not see this ever leaving the Wii U.
I don't think so. We've already got 2 WarioWare games on Wii U. I mean, if Nintendo wants to spite me, they'll also port this just because that'll mean we have 3 WarioWare games or WarioWare adjacent games and no Rhythm Heaven. So they'll do that just to spite me. But, no, seriously speaking, we have 2 WarioWare games on Switch already. Game & Wario was also one of those games that kind of was specific to the Wii U. It wasn't as specific as Nintendo Land in terms of the Wii U gamepad, but it still kind of used it in unique ways, and I just don't quite see it ever escaping the clutches of the Wii U for that reason,
Fully agree. This is another fairly asymmetric game. There's like that Pictionary one that was pretty cool, but it's
that
stuff.
was cool.
It wouldn't really work outside the Wii U, and it's not an exciting game. Like, Game Wario is a good game, but it's not something that people are going to go, oh, I've got to buy this again,
Yeah.
It's not a Xenoblade X. So I think we can pretty much just say no to that one.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree.
This one, I think, will spark some debate, and I think a lot of the live audience will be divided. Star Fox Zero. I think most of this game can be played traditionally. I think most of those flight sections you can strip the gamepad out. A lot of the dogfight sections, though, I do not think you can. There's a lot of this game where you need to be able to see from different angles. And I'm thinking that snow level in particular, with those walking spider-like enemies that have those targets beneath them.
Right.
I know not many people have played this game, so let me try and describe this as best I can. So what you're meant to do is you're meant to fly under these spider-like creatures and then aim up with the gamepad and shoot their target from below, and that's how you deal with them. That sounds incredibly unintuitive unless you have the viewpoints to do that. And gyro is a must. That wouldn't work particularly well in handheld mode either. I think there's enough moments of Star Fox Zero that would feel clumsy without the gamepad. Not all of it, but enough of them.
Yeah, I think there's enough of Star Fox Zero that would have to be heavily enough reworked to make it work on Switch that it isn't frankly worth Nintendo's time or effort. And Star Fox Zero, I mean, of course the Wii U was not a successful console, so you could maybe try to argue that if it were given a second chance on a successful console, maybe it would sell better, but Star Fox Zero wasn't particularly well received in its day. I don't think it would be particularly well received today. And personally, I'd rather than just see them move on to a new Star Fox project. I just don't think porting Zero is the way to go for the series. And it would require too much reworking to make it work on the Switch in a way that makes sense. And I just don't see there being a reason for Nintendo to invest in something like that, right?
I agree. Like, Star Fox, as it is right now, has not had a game since Zero, unless you count Starlink. I don't think the game to bring it back is a fairly tarnished one. Like Zero has its fans. I'm a mild fan of it. I'm not like singing its praises, but I enjoy it. But I don't think it's exciting. I don't think people are gonna say like, "Oh, Star Fox Zero's back."
No,
I think you're gonna lose more goodwill than you gain from re-releasing this.
Yeah, I think people would be really fired up about a new Star Fox game that maybe pushes the series forward in a way that isn't. And I say this again as a mild Star Fox Zero fan. I think people would be more excited about a new Star Fox game that pushes the series forward in a way that isn't yet another retread of an origin story or Star Fox 64. You know?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. I think Star Fox just needs a big new game, and Zero is not it. But Emily is in our live audience is saying, I wonder if Star Fox Guard will be re-released, and that's the next game we're talking about. So for those who don't remember, Star Fox Guard, it was packed in with Star Fox Zero in certain editions, but you could also buy it as a separate eShop download. And it's kind of like Five Nights at Freddy's before Five Nights at Freddy's.
Right,
You have like security cameras on the gamepad, and you aim on the TV to just destroy all these robots, and you've got to use like a tower defense to guard it. This was called Project Guard originally, and it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
But it's not being ported.
No, I mean, it's actually too bad because I'm not a tower defense guy myself, so this never really did a whole lot for me, but I recognize that it's a good game, and it technically could work as like a cheap eShop release, like a standalone $5, $10 eShop release, and it's a fun, cool game, but I don't think it's ever going to happen. Yeah. But there's really no reason it can't, is my point. But that doesn't mean I think it will.
Yeah, it would make a nice eShop game, and you can easily take the gamepad stuff and just put it in like a sub-menu somewhere. But there's nothing stopping it. It's just, I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I love what Emily said here, though, in our live audience chat, Five Nights at Slippy's.
Yeah,
I'd play that.
That's good.
I'd play that for sure.
Paper Mario Color Splash.
This is an interesting one, right? Because I feel like I like this game more than most. It's far from the best Paper Mario game for sure. It's basically Sticker Star, but done way better. Sticker Star obviously sucks, but Color Splash was Sticker Star done right. But there's only so far that can go. The battle system is still the weakest part of that game. But at the same time, though, the visuals, the soundtrack, the writing, they're all really good. And I kind of feel like Color Splash deserves another shot at being on a console that is actually successful. But at the same time, I think you'd have to speed up the battle system a lot. It's really slow. You just have to make it snappier. You know, that is the weakest part of that game, but I do think that there's a good game in Color Splash, and I'd kind of like to see it ported. Do I think it'll happen? No. After, we already got Thousand Year Door Remake, and then, of course, there's Origami King. I don't think this late in the game that Color Splash is going to be ported. But I wouldn't be upset if it was, to be honest.
And it doesn't need the gamepad. The gamepad was just taking away a menu and putting it on another screen. It didn't need
Exactly. That. It really doesn't need it. Yeah, and so I feel like there's an argument to be made for Color Splash getting a second chance at life. But I don't necessarily see it happening.
I'm with you. I think if they were to re-release another Paper Mario, it would be super. I don't think they would do Color Splash first.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, so
or even the original. Maybe they even remake the original before porting Color Splash. But I agree, Super would probably be more likely. But it's a shame because Color Splash has value. It's a good game that could be reworked to just ditch the gamepad and just it's a good Paper Mario game. Yeah,
it is good. I think similar to Star Fox Zero, though, its reputation is tarnished.
Yeah.
And they probably don't, they just remade Thousand Year Door. I think that's probably the stepping stones for where the series goes now, in that direction. And they probably don't want to remind people of what they were doing.
That's such a great point. And Game Bear Advance just said it in our live audience chat as well. After Thousand Year Door, they think releasing Color Splash would send the wrong message about the future of Paper Mario, and that is so true.
Absolutely.
It does seem like they're going in a different direction with the series now, and a direction that I think most of us, if not the vast majority of us, would prefer the series to go in now. So that's very true.
Right, so far we said no to everything apart from the Zelda remasters. This one, I think, might change that. Mm-hmm. So Kirby...
I think so.
Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, or Kirby and the Rainbow Paintbrush, as we call it here in the UK.
Right.
What do you think about this one?
So I was a big fan of Canvas Curse on the DS. I loved that game, and so when Rainbow Curse was announced, I was really hyped for it. And then it came out, and I liked it. I didn't like it as much as Canvas Curse, and I think it's kind of a game that was limited, unfortunately, by the Wii U because it had that really cool claymation art style. It's a really pretty game, but it's only really pretty for people who are watching you play it. If you're playing it yourself, you're playing it on this 480p screen on the Wii U gamepad, and it doesn't look nearly as good. And this is a game that I would love to see kind of freed from the shackles of the Wii U gamepad and just let me play it on a big, beautiful HD screen. And I think there's a way to make that happen. I think it's possible. And I don't really think there's any reason this game has to stay on the Wii U.
No, it would definitely be a game that plays best in handheld mode. You could have a gyro cursor like how 3D World and Captain Toad does it. It'll probably desync a lot. It probably wouldn't be the most comfortable way, but it'd be possible. But having a 720p on the OLED specifically, this game would be absolutely beautiful. And it would play just like it does on Wii U with the touchscreen. I think there's a good chance. And how always do late generation Kirby games. Not only that, they usually do Kirby games beyond the generation. Like once a console launches, they still typically do Kirby ports or smaller Kirby games on the previous one. So I think there's a very good chance of Rainbow Curse.
Yeah, I could see it happening. I mean, there are quite a few Kirby games that I could see, that would make sense, not just from the Wii U, but like from 3DS, like Triple Deluxe, Planet Robobot, like HD versions of those on the Switch, I think would make a lot of sense in the Switch's twilight years, and including Rainbow Curse. Like, why not? Like, this would be a great, $20 eShop title that would be really cool to see in the Switch's later years. And it's a game that, again, it's a fun, chill experience. The soundtrack is so incredibly chill. And it's just a cozy-ass game. You and I both love the word cozy. It is a cozy game, even by Kirby standards. And again, that beautiful art style deserves to be played and seen on an HD screen and not just the Wii U gamepad.
100%. So that's our technically our second or third yes, depending on whether you count the Zelda games as one or two games.
Right.
They'll probably be sold separately, but we'll see. Which brings us to our next game, Devil's Third. technically not entirely Wii U exclusive. The multiplayer was also on PC, even though that didn't take long to die. And you know what? I kind of liked the multiplayer. It wasn't that bad. The single player dreadful, multiplayer not that bad. But this game was also never returning. Ever. No,
never. I actually never played Devil's Third. Of course, I heard all about it, and it's not exactly a particularly well loved game. And I heard all the discourse about it, but I never played it myself. So I would be interested if it ever would. I'd just be curious as a kind of like, oh, never played it, I'll check it out, kind of thing. But there's no one cares about this game. There's no way this would ever come to Switch.
No. This we've talked about like some reputations being a bit soggy, like with Star Fox Zero and Color Splash. Right. Devil's Third is so far beyond soggy.
Exactly. Yeah. No one misses Devil's Third.
No. Well, there'll be someone. There'll be someone with like a Devil's Third avatar.
Someone out
saying,
there
how dare
in the comments who can say
Devil's Third.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, live audience, I need you to fact check me on this. Has the developer behind Art Academy released a game in the last, 6 years? Because our next game is Art Academy Atelier, which was the Wii U's Art Academy. I played the demo version of this a bunch. There was like a smaller eShop version that was free, and it was good. It was a good drawing app. But I'm pretty sure the Art Academy developer might not exist anymore.
Yeah, I looked it up. The developers listed, two, Headstrong Games and Nintendo SPD.
I'm pretty sure Headstrong would be leading it.
Yeah, and I don't see anything. Their last game apparently was 2016, Disney Art Academy.
I'm pretty sure they don't exist.
I don't think so, yeah. Oh, defunct as of 2017. Yeah, so they don't exist anymore. I didn't play this game, but you said you enjoyed the demo?
Yeah, I mean, Art Academy is just a drawing app. It's just a really good drawing application.
Okay.
But if the developer no longer exists, they're not bringing it back. And if they do bring it back, it probably won't be a port of the Wii U one.
Right. Agreed. This one's dead on arrival.
Yeah. Now this one, I included this one. There are multiple Wii U games that got like future iterations on the Switch. So like I didn't include a Smash in here, even though like there's a basis if they're an Ultimate, even if they're different games. But I did include Splatoon 1. And the reason I included Splatoon 1 is we've had the hub world put into Splatoon 3 as an optional hub world. We've had all the maps find their way into Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3. But the core campaign is still Wii U exclusive. Will that always be the case?
Probably.
Yeah.
It's a shame though, because I mean, Splatoon, at least the single player campaigns are fairly story driven, and they've kind of built up this really cool lore and universe that Splatoon 1's campaign is an important part of. And so it's kind of a shame to have that lost to time, because it's an important part of the Splatoon universe and timeline that we've seen kind of culminate in Splatoon 3 and its DLC. So it's kind of a shame to have it lost or limited to Wii U, but there's really no reason outside of that for Nintendo to bring back Splatoon 1, right?
Yes, it would have been really cool Splatoon 3 DLC. Like
That's true.
It's probably ambitious to do it, but it would have been really cool just to put all the story stuff in there. But yeah, it's not happening.
Yeah, I think Splatoon 4 is much more. I think they're just going to keep looking forward. They're not going to look back with Splatoon. There's no reason for them to. Mechanically, 2 and 3 improved on what 1 established. There's just really no reason for them to bring back specifically the campaign.
Yeah, I thought we can say no to the next 3 pretty outright. But Wii Party U, Wii Fit U, Wii Sports Club, they 2 of those have had future iterations on the Switch. So we've had Ring Fit Adventure and Nintendo Switch Sports. So they've replaced those 2. Wii Party U has not had a successor, and I can't see Nintendo Cube doing another party game that isn't Mario Party. They did Clubhouse Games instead this gen, which was probably the better call.
Yeah, I actually got quite a bit of play out of Wii Party U. My wife and I had a good time with it for a while. That's not to say I think it'll come to Switch. I don't think there's really any reason for it to. There is no shortage of great party games on the Switch. But at the same time, there is value there. I personally wouldn't mind seeing it ported, but I don't think it's going to happen. I'm just wondering, without Wii Fit U, where am I going to find a Switch game that's going to call me fat? Like, what? I need another, What other game is going to tell me that? Because Ring Fit Adventure is much friendlier than
Ring
Wii
Fit just
Fit
says like your
was.
sweat looks so shiny and beautiful.
Yeah, Ring Fit Adventure is much friendlier on that front.
Yeah.
But yeah, Wii Party U I actually think is a cool game, but no, I don't think any of these 3 games would have any reason to be ported to Switch.
No. I would say the titles would be the reason no, but then we had New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe on Switch. So the title means nothing, apparently.
No, yeah.
But our next game, Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. What's the likelihood of this one?
Less than 0.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we already have like I said, like with Wii Party U, there's no shortage of great party games on the Switch. And Amiibo Festival was never a great party game to begin with, so...
It wasn't much of a game
exactly.
So,
Plus, Nintendo seemed to be kind of veering away from Amiibo by and large. I still expect to see Amiibo released here and there in terms of like special occasions, but they're clearly by and large kind of have moved on from the Amiibo craze.
I included this one just because it's a Wii U exclusive. Mario Tennis Ultra Smash.
Right.
If you take Mario Tennis Aces and you turn off all the cool stuff, then you have Ultra Smash. So technically it's there in just a way better way. The only thing exclusive to Ultra Smash is the Sprixie Princess as a character from 3D World.
Right.
Is that the only game that they've returned for?
I think so. I don't recall the Sprixies ever coming back for anything else.
Yeah.
They were never in a Mario Party. Yeah. I think if they were going to be in anything, it would have been like Mario Party 10.
Yeah.
But they weren't. So
I do lie, actually. This game also has Mega Mushroom mode, where every now and then Toad throws a mushroom at you. So that is exclusive. Yeah, that's not counting.
Yeah, that's never going to happen, and nothing of value was lost.
No. Then we got 2 Mario and Sonic Olympic games. We got 2014 Sochi and 2016 Rio. They're not porting those.
No, and didn't they recently talk about how they're kind of done with the Mario and Sonic series? Like they're moving on from that?
I don't think Sega have the license anymore, right?
Yeah, I think I don't know who it was. Was it the Olympic National Committee or I feel like someone recently talked about how they had a chance to make another Mario and Sonic game, like, you know, like a modern one recently, but then they chose to go in a different direction. I don't know. I might just be making that up, but I feel like I heard something about how there are not going to be any Mario and Sonic Olympic games anymore because they moved on and decided to do something else.
And it's a shame because Tokyo was taking good steps forward. It was a flawed game, but it had like a full story mode with like 8-bit and 16-bit Mario and Sonic. It had cool stuff. I think a future sequel could have been really good, but they never got that chance.
That's such a shame because, I remember that story mode. I played it at E3, whatever year that it was being previewed, and I remember thinking it was pretty cool, but it's a shame because it's kind of like one of those series that I never super cared about personally, but it was always kind of a neat idea, and it was kind of just comforting to see them continue to come out. But yeah, I mean, obviously neither of these games are ever going to come to Switch.
No. But there are two other Sonic games. I think we can discuss these separately. Sonic Lost World is also on PC. So it's not a Wii U exclusive, but it is not on Switch. The chances of this one aren't zero, but right now Sega, they've done Sonic Colors, they've done Generations. I don't think the next obvious game is Lost World.
No. I think, if anything, they would probably turn sooner to Unleashed or, you know, maybe finally the adventure games. Give us the adventure remakes we've been begging for so long. But, Sonic Lost World is not a terrible game, but it is a very uneven and mid game that I think would need some reworking to be worth porting. And
I wouldn't be shocked.
It is technically on PC as well.
Like if I woke up one morning and saw Sonic Lost World was coming to Switch, I wouldn't be like, "What? Why?" I think they'll be like, "Yeah, that kind of makes sense." But like, it's not.
I
like
wouldn't be
exciting,
super shocked. Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't be nearly as exciting as them porting or remaking, other modern Sonic games. Although there is that Yoshi and Zelda DLC that'll be lost to time if they never.
That's true.
If they never port it. Which it is pretty wild to think that they did Yoshi and Zelda DLC for a Sonic game, right?
And they were pretty good.
They were, yeah. They were pretty good. I wouldn't be upset if this was ported to Switch, but I think we talked recently about, we did talk recently about Sonic, and this is just one of those games where, like, conceptually it's cool, and there's value in it, but about halfway through, the level design just takes a giant dump, and it just goes off a cliff. And it's just like, oh, what happened here? At the same time, though, there's still a kernel of a good game in there somewhere, and I wouldn't be upset. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wasting your time by playing this. It's an interesting game.
Right.
But speaking about a Sonic game that you would be wasting your time with, Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric. There is no... Sonic Boom is not a thing anymore. There's no chance this returns.
No, Sega have completely abandoned the whole Sonic Boom idea, and not to say that there was no value in it. I still say the cartoon, the animated show, was excellent. I loved it, but the games, no need to port these.
I mean, it runs smoother on the Switch. Like CryEngine, like Crysis 1, 2, and 3 are on here, so like I think it could handle it better. But
right,
still no.
Not happening.
No. Mario Party 10, I think just no. That's not coming back.
There's no reason with Mario Party Superstars and now Jamboree. Mario Party 10 isn't the worst Mario Party, but it's far from the best.
Yeah. And
there's no need to ever have this come back.
No. And Jamboree, like, it took some things from 10. Like, you got, like, Big Bowser. He's kind of like the asymmetric portion to how the game plays. So the idea lives on. But, 10 is... I don't think ND Cube or Nintendo Cube, I don't think they're ever going to look back and re-release older Mario parties unless it's like NSO.
Exactly.
All right, now we've got a game that I think is very likely. Yoshi's Woolly World.
I hope it's likely. I love this game, man. This is like the big remaining one for me. Like Xenoblade X I'm so glad it's happening, and that's so cool. But the other, like, and not counting Zelda, the big one for me is Yoshi's Woolly World. I think this game is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It is one of the just chillest platformers I've ever played. The soundtrack is insane how good it is.
Can we talk about how the soundtrack difference between this game and Crafted World?
I can't. I know. What happened? What happened in between Woolly and Crafted World? Not that Crafted World's a terrible game, but set next to Woolly World, it's just Woolly World casts such a large shadow. This game rules, man, and I want to. I know it came to 3DS. That's great, but bring the 3DS version to Switch. Just bring any version to Switch because Yoshi fans who didn't have a Wii U deserve to play this game because honestly, I think it's up there with Yoshi's Island. It is great a game. And it's so good.
No other Yoshi game really is. Like, you can argue maybe one or two of them, but I think it's Yoshi's Island and Woolly World. Those are really the top two. And the 3DS version is good, but a really cool part of what I loved about Wii U was playing it multiplayer. I love just playing couch co-op, and this game's really built for that. And the visuals are so nice. It converted to 3DS pretty well, but the art style, I prefer it to Crafted World. I prefer the visuals, the music, the level design, everything. There's not really a single thing I think Crafted World does better. And I'd love for this to live on.
And they had all those cool amiibo outfits too. Those are really cool.
And they can catch up because there were a bunch of amiibo that have released post Crafted World, and even post like 3DS Crafted World. There's more amiibo that they can update.
Right, and several people in our live audience chat are mentioning like Sylph Limited and Shell Shock that Tomoya Tomita left good feel after Woolly World. So that would explain why the soundtrack in Crafted World wasn't nearly as good. But God, I love this game so much, and I'm almost upset that it hasn't been ported to Switch yet. Like, I would happily double dip on this game. Yeah. I wouldn't even have to think about it. This game is so good.
I mean, if next year opens with like January DKC, February Yoshi's Woolly World, and then March Xenoblade X, that's a banger of an opener. Even if they're all ports.
Yeah, that's a great trifecta. Yeah, I do think there's a possibility of this one. I'm not going to say it's a 100% lock, but I think this is one of the more likely ones, like you said. And if it does happen, I'm there. And as I can't. Oh yeah, Amareg mentioned that the stage didn't come back in Smash Ultimate. There was a Woolly World stage in Smash 4 that didn't come back in Ultimate. This is Woolly World Erasure, says Amareg, and I agree. Like,
it's the weirdest one of the omissions too. Like, you can kind of justify a few stages not coming back. I don't know why this one didn't.
It was always one of my favorite stages in Smash 4, and I don't know why it didn't come back in Ultimate. Woolly World deserves justice. Justice for Woolly World.
Justice for Woolly World. We're going to give this one a tick, I think.
Yeah.
It's not definitive, but it has more of a chance than the vast majority of the stuff on here.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, the next one, NES Remix 1 and 2. This released on Wii U and 3DS. 3DS had Ultimate. If they hadn't released a Nintendo World Championships NES edition this year, I'd say that this has a really good chance. But Nintendo World Championships NES edition is basically in this series. It's not as cool as NES Remix, but it's too recent to bring these back, I think.
I think so too, and it's a shame because I would have taken re-releases of NES Remix 1 and 2 over NWC.
I think I would too.
I think a lot of people would have, yeah. Not to say that NWC is a bad game, it's just, it doesn't scratch that itch. It doesn't really interest me in the way that NES Remix did. NES Remix was cool and weird and different and something new. And NWC is fine for what it is, but I thought NES Remix was really cool, and I always hoped, like so many, that they were going to move on to an SNES Remix, and they never did, but I wish they'd bring this series back in a way that wasn't Nintendo World Championships.
Yeah, Super Nintendo Remix would have gone so hard. It's such a shame that they just dropped it here and reverted back to NES and ditched all the remix stuff. I know people do enjoy Nintendo World Championships, all the power to you, but NES Remix... way cool.
I will say I did participate in a video with our good friend Yo Schiller where during PAX he brought a bunch of us over to his place to play 8-player Nintendo World Championships, and it was actually really fun to play that game with. That was actually pretty cool, but outside of that novelty, just bringing back NES Remix.
The last 4 here are all technically download exclusives, apart from kind of this one. Mario vs. Donkey Kong Tipping Stars. This had a Japanese physical. Otherwise, though, it was on Wii U and 3DS. It's been delisted from the eShop going down. So unless you get that Japanese disc, you can't play this anymore. But also, I don't think there's any chance Mario vs. Donkey Kong Tipping Stars returns.
No. I don't. I mean, this is such a weird deep cut. I don't think anyone misses tipping stars. I personally kind of lost interest in the Mario vs. DK series after like the first game, maybe first two. I don't know if anyone's really pining for this to come back. I don't think Nintendo has any interest in bringing it back.
No.
I mean, they did do the remake of the first game, but if they're gonna, whatever they do next in the series on Switch, I don't think it's gonna be a port of Tipping Stars.
There could be another Mario vs. Donkey Kong on the Switch, but if there is, I hope it's building off the backbone of the remake. Just like going back to basics, bit more DK94 style, but a new game. Hopefully.
Just remake DK94 in that style, and I'm happy.
Yeah?
Just remake DK94 in that style. That'd be perfect.
And what was it, live audience told me I missed? Was it Amiibo Friends? Is that what the thing was called?
I can't remember. There's so many Mario vs. DK games.
So that was when you scanned an amiibo, and there was like a challenge based around that amiibo. Or that is also not
Mini Mario and Friends, or Amiibo Tap.
Yeah,
says Amareg. Yeah.
Do you think that's being ported, live audience? I think
we can safely say no.
Yeah, life can move on without that.
Yeah.
This next one, I sincerely hope is. So Paul Block's World, also released on the 3DS as Paul Blocks. They're different puzzles, but the same base game. One of my favorite little intelligent systems games. I love just the core of this game. I love making levels and sharing levels, the core gimmick. I really do want this to return.
Same. This is I'm not a huge puzzle game guy, but the ones that really hit for me really hit, like Panel de Pon, and also Pushmo, Pull Blocks, whatever you want to call it. I always thought this game was really cool, and like you, I don't really think there's any reason they can't port it. I mean, why not? It'd be a great little, like another cheap eShop title. There's really no reason for them not to do it. It scratches a very unique itch that isn't quite... There's nothing quite like it on Switch, so... I'm not going to say I think it's likely, but I also wouldn't be, like you said with Sonic Lost World. If I woke up one morning and saw, Pushmo's being released on the Switch eShop, I'd be like, oh, that makes sense. I'm not that surprised.
Yeah. The closest thing the Switch has to Pushmo is Catherine full body.
True. That's quite different in tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we can give this one a tick. If they bring the series back, it probably won't be a Wii U port. But it probably have a very similar structure, I imagine, though.
Yeah.
But I think it's close enough that we can say that this is pretty likely.
Yeah. Why not?
And then just our next two games. So Dr. Luigi. Dr. Luigi was featured in a mode in Dr. Mario Miracle Cure for 3DS. So it's technically on both systems. But regardless, both were delisted when the eShop went down. The only Dr. Mario this generation was Dr. Mario World, which also got delisted when that game went down.
Right. And I think this would be likelier to return again as a side mode in a new Dr. Mario game than its own game. I don't think, I just don't see there being any value in re-releasing specifically Dr. Luigi. But yeah, include it in a new Dr. Mario game. Why not, right?
So do you think Dr. Mario is likely to return soon? Or would that be a next console thing?
It's kind of weird that there hasn't been a Dr. Mario game on Switch, right? Now that I think
weird.
About it.
Every console.
It's kind of weird.
Like,
actually, I Eat Dragons mentioned Dr. Luigi 99, and that's obviously not going to happen. But like, seriously speaking, Dr. Mario 99 would be awesome. It would make so much sense, and it would be really cool if they did that. And I'm kind of surprised there hasn't been a Dr. Mario game. So if there is one on Switch, I think it'll return as a side mode in that. But absent that, no, I don't think it's coming back.
Yeah. I don't think it's coming back either. I think Dr. Mario will return. I don't think it's coming this year, though. I have no reason. There's no logic to that. I just don't feel like it's coming this year.
I could see it being next year, like a really late Switch 1 release.
Maybe.
Just kind of to fill in a month before the Switch 2 comes out. I could see that happening for sure. And I do really think Dr. Mario 99 makes a lot of sense as an idea. So I could see it maybe happening next year and coming back as a side mode in a game next year, but no, it's not coming back other than that.
Yeah. So I guess we can say no specifically to Dr. Luigi, maybe to Dr. Mario in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the last game, Pokemon Rumble U, no, that's not coming back.
That's not coming back.
that game was funny, though, because it had, like, pre-Amiibo. Do you remember those little, like...
Right.
Amiibo weren't a thing yet, so you had those little NFC Pokemon figurines. That was like the first thing that you could scan into a Wii U gamepad.
Right, I do remember that, and I'm glad you brought up NFC because our live audience did fact checked me on the Mario and Sonic games, and it was indeed the Olympic National Committee that said they passed on making more Mario and Sonic games and would rather make NFC games. So thank you for fact checking
games.
me.
Yeah.
Or sorry, NFT
NFC
games.
and NFT are being wrongfully affiliated here.
I was thinking NWC. Yeah, NFT games, not C.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So throughout all of those games that we talked about, what we said will probably has a good chance of happening are Wind Waker HD, Twilight Princess HD, Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, Yoshi's Woolly World, and Pool Blocks. I think those are the ones that we said have a good chance of happening.
Yeah, and I would stand by that assessment. What about you?
I think so too. We also said maybe Dr. Mario, but not as a port.
Right.
I think they all have a very good chance of happening. Yeah, we don't know when the Switch 2 is coming out, and even when the Switch 2 does come out, there will still be months of Switch 1 games. I don't think they're going to just stop once the console releases. So I think there's more than enough time for all of everything we've talked about to come. But I also don't think everything's going to be a port. I think we'll still get some original Switch 1 games. I mean, only recently people were playtesting an unannounced game on their Switch. But that's coming at some point.
Yeah. No, yeah, I certainly don't think it's going to be nothing but ports here on out until the Switch 2 comes out. I think there'll still be some original titles coming, but I do think that it makes sense to fill in the gaps with a few of these that we have marked as likely. I mean, again, DKC Returns is coming back in January. Same with Xenoblade X in March. So, why not fill in the release schedule with some of these really excellent games that are, still stuck on Wii U, like Yoshi's Woolly World.
Yeah. Wii U always had good games. That was never really the problem. And while Switch has nabbed most of them, I think we've more than disclosed that it's still got bangers such as We Fit You and Devil's Third.
Yeah, Mario Party 10.
Yeah, and it can always have them.
Exactly.
There are still, Xenoblade X, though, is not the last one. There are still candidates to bring to Switch. It's not over yet.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you, our live audience, for hanging out with us. If you want to be just like one of them and watch these videos as they're recorded and contribute to them, you absolutely can over our Patreon and the live audience tier. So thank you to all of our live audience for watching and participating. And thank you so much for watching, everybody. And we will catch you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.